Good afternoon. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Colin. I lead Jewish services here at Bedford Court. This is not a funeral, this is a memorial service for our friend Benjamin Lee Watnik. A memorial service like this is a celebration of the life of someone we love, of someone who is truly special. Special in ways that are very hard to find sometimes. But first I have to do a quiz. How many of you in this room were born in the exact same city as your parents? Raise your hand. Not many. Of those of you who had your hands up that you were born in the exact same city as your parents, keep your hands up. How many of you were born in the exact same city as your grandparents? Does anybody have their hand up? No. Benjamin Watnik came from a small community with a reputation that was unusual in the Jewish world and in the world as a whole. It was arguably the most important little city that you've ever heard of. Pinsk, a little town in the province of Minsk. Sometimes it was in Poland, sometimes it was in the Ukraine, sometimes it was in Russia. Sometimes the wars between these nations involved the community, sometimes they didn't. What was common was that whoever was in control didn't like the Jews. However, Pinsk always survived. It was in the borderlands. It wasn't Ukrainian, it wasn't Polish, it wasn't Russian, it was everything. It wasn't this form of Hasidic jewelry or that sort of Hasidic jewelry. It was everything. And because it was everything, there was always arguments in the street. Constant ferment, constant discussion. Another difference between Pinsk and the rest of the Jewish world of the Pale was international trade. It was near the borders of many countries on a river that led to the Baltic. So why do I mention this? Danny never came to services here at Bedford Court. Never. He sat in the hallway and I would talk to him. He never once mentioned where he came from. I asked him, he said, not important. Right. If somebody says it's not important, it must be. I didn't find out that he was from Pinsk until I was talking to Alicia and Joy a week ago, 2 weeks ago, shortly after he died. The name Pinsk rang a lot of bells for me because Pinsk was the intellectual center, as I mentioned before, for a large amount of Eastern European Jews. I asked the girls what Benny taught them about the Holocaust. Apparently, nothing. What did we learn about Pinsk? The same answer that Benny gave me. It wasn't important. He didn't mention it. Pinsk was a real nothing of a town. Only had about 30,000 people. Yet if you were to go around the United States and Canada and Argentina and Israel in the 1950s or even today, you will find Pinsker societies across the world. Many people have the last name Pinsk for their community, even though that really wasn't their last name. They kept in touch with each other. They kept communications open. When the pogroms of the 1880s hit, large amounts of the young left town. What better climates? Some went to Israel, some went to the United States, some went to Canada, some went to the open arms of Argentina. And wherever they went, they wrote back home to their friends and relatives saying, hey, this is a great place. You can live free here. Nevertheless, things really weren't that bad. Pinsk, because of all the intellectual ferment, had an approach to modernity that was unusual. There was the openness, the freedom. And because of that, people stayed. Then World War I came and the world changed forever. At the end of World War I, while the League of Nations and the Treaty of Versailles were being created, there was the first major massacre in Pinsk in 1919. 35 Jews were killed for no good reason. They were just there, and they died. Benny's parents saw the handwriting on the wall, and they got out. took them a while to get out, but they got out. Some of the family came to the United States. Benny and his parents went to Argentina. The climate was warm, and they invited others to come. But then, in 1938, due to the Depression and due to other problems in Argentina, Argentina closed its borders. A young army officer who was causing trouble was sent to Italy to get him out of the way. There, he saw the wonders of fascism. He saw the wonders of Nazism. And he returned to Argentina. His name, Juan Perón. Perón gained power, and life for the Jews suddenly wasn't so good. Benny and his parents saw the handwriting on the wall yet again. And because of their background from Pinsk, they decided to move to the United States. And since they were Argentinian, the quota was different. They did so even knowing that the likelihood of Benny being drafted into the United States military was almost guaranteed. So they moved. When Benny got into the military, they discovered he could speak Spanish. He could speak Spanish very well. He got sent to Guantanamo Bay, among many other facilities, where he became somebody who bought produce for the military. The war ended. He got out. He did like many World War II veterans. He sort of floundered a little bit. He got married. He got married to his $1 million bride. And the rest is more or less history. He found himself in the grocery store in Harlem. You'll hear more about it. He got into the wholesale produce trade. You'll hear more about it. He worked with a large community of immigrants, primarily Hispanic, but from a position of the boss. But a boss who understood their plight, a boss who spoke their language, a boss who was honest, a boss who treated them like human beings, a boss who mentored them, who urged them to save the future. And that was the surface. Everything that had come about in the years before, his experiences in Minsk, where everybody was treated as a human being, the departure for Argentina, the return to the United States, all led to this man. By all rights, Benny should have just sort of retreated into the background. He did. For he had a dream for himself and a dream for his family of a different world and something better. And this dream carried him and his family for 88 years.
You want to try?
I will try.
We were doing our practice.
I want to hear you bésame mucho.
Okay, she's going to sing. 1, 2, 3.
Bésame, bésame mucho, como si fuera la última vez. Bésame, bésame mucho, tengo miedo perderte otra vez.
Ahí está.